My narcissistic sister tried to seduce my fiancé before our wedding. She got caught on camera and was disowned by our parents. Hey, so this is about my older sister, Dove, who's 29. She's always seemed to have a problem with me just existing and thinks I don't deserve the life I have. It's been a rough ride. She's divorced, living with our parents, and doesn't have a job because she dropped out of college for a rich boyfriend. Spoiler, he dumped her when he saw her true colors. Growing up, Dove was the pretty and smart one, always a bit full of herself. Our parents constantly praised her, which left me feeling kind of worthless. Everyone thought she was the prettiest, while I was just there. It hurt a lot, and she loved to play mind games, telling me nobody liked me. Those childhood taunts left me super insecure, and my parents never had my back because Dove was always meeting their expectations. So, I started distancing myself from them. When I was a kid and a teen, she always had friends over when our parents were away, and they would mess with my stuff. One time, they even ruined a project of mine, and I almost failed. I wanted to tell my mom, but Dove threatened to show my embarrassing photos to my classmates. I was 14, and it freaked me out. She never owned up to what she did, and talking to my parents was useless because they just didn't care. Dove did a lot of things that made me resent her. My mom never supported me, but sometimes my dad did speak up. Once, Dove used my phone to send weird pics to my friends because I had complained about her. Then she spilled coffee on my prom dress and played the victim. So, I stopped confiding in him too. I didn't understand her hatred until I realized she was a narcissist, and her behavior had nothing to do with me. She was a red flag in relationships and cheated on every guy she dated. Truth is, she was a gold digger, and the fact that her ex is still my friend says everything. She was pretty awful as a teen, and adulthood didn't change her. I blame my parents for not disciplining her. Things started looking up for me after school. I worked hard to get into my dream college and eventually landed my dream job. That's where I met the love of my life, Atlas, at a work conference. He was smart, kind, and handsome. We clicked right away and started dating. We traveled a lot, going on vacations and trips, which really strengthened our relationship. Atlas was super close to his family, so he introduced me to his siblings and parents pretty early on, but I was hesitant to introduce him to mine because of Dove. I always feared she'd mess things up. I couldn't keep delaying it, though. Atlas started wondering why I was so reluctant, so after a year and a half of dating, I finally told my dad about him. He was glad I found someone worthy of me and invited us over for dinner. I was excited but stressed, knowing Dove could try to ruin things. Even though Atlas knew about my family drama, I filled him in on Dove's antics. He took it in stride, saying he could handle it. A few days after telling Dad, Dove called me, which was a shock since she never does. She was all curious about Atlas and when we'd visit home. I guessed my mom told her about my serious relationship. She started acting all friendly, but I knew her interest was sketchy. Now I'm torn about whether to risk introducing Atlas to her. I'm even considering inviting my parents over to my place instead. Here's an update for everyone who asked about Dove. It's true my dad's view of her changed after her divorce. She really messed up her life. She was smart in school, but once she hit college, her focus shifted to looks and snagging a wealthy boyfriend. That's how she met Jeremy, the rich guy she ditched her studies for. So, I was knee-deep in studying for my college entrance exams during my last year of school, and my sister was no help at all. She kept telling me I'd never make it into my dream college. Surprise, surprise, I got in. For the first time ever, my parents were super proud and happy for me, and it felt like all that hard work had finally paid off. But, of course, my sister wasn't thrilled with all the attention being on me. My parents went all out and threw a celebration party with close family and friends to celebrate the big achievement, but my sister had other plans to steal the spotlight. Right in the middle of the party, she drops this bombshell: she's engaged to Jeremy. Poor Jeremy looked like he didn't see it coming at all. But her plan worked, and suddenly everyone was all hyped about the engagement. Apparently, Jeremy was loaded, and Dove loved to brag about the pricey gifts he gave her. She used to say I'd never snag a rich guy because I'm not pretty enough and no one would want to date me. It got to the point where I snapped and told her I wasn't looking for a sugar daddy, and that I could pay my own way. I mean, she can have all the rich husbands she wants. Dove's always been kind of mean and definitely the most self-centered person I've ever known. A week later, she and Jeremy actually got engaged, but I was already off at college and didn't go to the engagement party. At school, I pretty much ignored her. Going home for the holidays was a nice break since Dove was off living with Jeremy. Even during breaks, she'd be off on fancy vacations with him. A year into their whirlwind romance, they threw this massive wedding. Of course, Jeremy footed most of the bill. My dad chipped in a bit, but only because Dove wasn't earning anything. Their marriage hit the skids after just 3 years. I found out through the grapevine that Dove didn't want kids but Jeremy did. He never pushed her, but he was upset she'd never told him how she felt about it and just sidestepped any serious talk for years. He also mentioned that Dove's partying was out of control and she had a habit of flirting with other guys. He even showed me some videos where she was out drinking and letting guys get too handsy. Honestly, he was better off without her. But my parents took Dove's side, blaming Jeremy for trying to push the whole having kids thing, and they refused to see Dove's part in the whole mess. After the divorce, Dove moved back in with my folks. Since she had no degree or job experience, she dropped out of college to marry Jeremy. She acted all traumatized by the divorce, but really, she seemed to enjoy being single again. In under a month, she was back to her old ways of clubbing and dating around. Her Instagram was full of stories showing off her wild nights out. Meanwhile, I was crushing it at my career and ended up landing my dream job, which thrilled my parents. I went home to celebrate, and my dad was so proud. But dinner turned awkward fast. Dove came home tipsy, and Dad was really upset. He started comparing us, saying she should have focused on her education instead of getting caught up in her life with Jeremy. When my mom tried to defend Dove, she flipped out and stormed off, slamming the door. Dad finally realized how spoiled she'd become and told Mom she needed to get serious about her life. Later, Dove barged into my room with more of her usual insults, telling me I'd never be like her and taking shots at my looks. But I'd had enough. I just laughed and told her I didn't want to be like her. That set her off, and she demanded I leave. I reminded her it was actually my parents' house, not hers. When I was packing to leave the next day, I found 2 of my dresses cut up. Clearly, it was Dove's childish payback. I showed my parents, and Dad was furious. He called Dove down while Mom tried to cover for her, but Dad wasn't having any of it. Good grief, what a mess. So, I had a bit of a showdown with Dove. I basically told her to get her act together because I couldn't keep supporting her or putting up with her self-centered behavior. Well, Dove did not take it well. And let me tell you, since then, I've been dealing with her not-so-friendly attitude. At first, I wasn't too bothered by it, but things got serious when she started making moves on my boyfriend, Atlas. After some serious thought and chatting it over with him, I decided to bring him along to visit my family. There wasn't any point in keeping him a secret from Dove because she would find out eventually. My friends wisely advised me to test Atlas now rather than risk losing him later. Dove would only snatch him away if Atlas fell for her tricks. So, we show up at my parents' with Atlas, and Dove was just all over him. As Atlas was saying hi to my mom and dad, Dove practically threw herself at him for a hug. Not sure why she thought Atlas would be into her. She'd gone all out, changing her hair from blonde to black, dressing up with a new outfit, and getting her nails done like it was some date. At dinner, she tried to sit right next to him, but I nipped that in the bud. When I asked her to move so I could sit there, she shot me an annoyed look but got up anyway. Dove couldn't stop grilling Atlas about his interests, and every time he mentioned something he liked, she'd claim to like it too, even if she didn't. Then she had the nerve to talk about how she and Atlas were so compatible and would wink at me to play it off as a joke, but it was pretty obvious what she was doing. Atlas was super uncomfortable and kept trying to change the topic with my parents. Her desperate moves were so obvious. After dinner, I went for a shower, leaving Atlas alone, and Dove took the chance to swoop in, asking him to call her phone because she couldn't find it. He did, and well, now she had his number. Seriously? Later, Atlas told me that when I was busy, Dove tried to gain his sympathy by spinning a sob story about her divorce and how it took her ages to recover. The kicker was Mom even joined in, dishing out gossip about Jeremy. Eventually, Atlas asked if I wanted to go for a walk and show him around the neighborhood. Before I could answer, Dove jumped up, eager to join. Atlas gave her a look and said he wanted some alone time with me. Her face went red, and she slunk off to her room. A few days after this fiasco, I was sure Dove would try something else to get Atlas. I was nervous, but I trusted him and wanted to see how he'd handle her antics. Fast forward, and guess what? Atlas popped the question last month during a trip. He got down on one knee with a ring, and I couldn't stop smiling. After our family visit, Dove did try her tricks to win Atlas over. She started texting him, asking how he was doing. Turns out, Atlas is a big cat person, so Dove began flooding his messages with cute cat videos, even though she'd never cared about cats before. Once she learned about Atlas's cat obsession, she even got herself a cat and sent him videos of it. At first, Atlas would show me her attention-seeking texts and care routine, but after a while, he stopped mentioning her messages. I figured she gave up, and we pretty much moved on, busy with work and life. Then, while scrolling through social media, I noticed Dove had added Atlas and was all over his posts, leaving heart emojis and commenting on all his pics, even old ones from 7 to 10 years ago. It didn't feel right, so I checked his phone and saw she was still texting him. Her messages were unread, and honestly, a bit strange. I found missed calls, including one at 3 a.m., which made me uneasy. So, I confronted Atlas about why he hadn't told me about Dove's texts. He got a bit flustered but assured me he was ignoring her and didn't want to make a big deal out of it. When I pushed about the calls, he calmly explained that one night, Dove had called really upset. So, everything got a bit crazy when Dove freaked out about something and started venting about some deep, traumatic stuff involving Jeremy. She just needed someone to listen, and Atlas, being the sensible guy he is, suggested she should talk to her parents instead of him, especially since it was so late. He also mentioned to Dove that she should have given me a heads up first, which really hit me hard. I mean, keeping secrets just doesn't sit well with me, and I told him it could make me lose trust in him. But he reassured me, promising he wouldn't fall for any of her drama, and that I didn't need to worry. I've read so many stories where the husband gets sucked into this kind of drama despite trying hard to steer clear, and I didn't want to end up being played. So I told him that next time Dove called, he should let me handle it. I was ready to catch her in the act. Sure enough, one night she called, and he woke me up. When I picked up, she went quiet after hearing my voice and then awkwardly said it was a mistake before hanging up. I tried calling her the next day to confront her, but she didn't answer, so I texted from Atlas's phone to make it clear it was me, telling her to stop bothering him at odd hours and to contact me if anything was important. After that, she backed off, and I finally felt at ease once Atlas proposed. I even sent a picture of the ring to my dad, who must have shown it to Mom and Dove, because Dove started her creepy antics again, sending messages and pointless videos. It was infuriating. As soon as Atlas told me, I called her and let loose all the pent-up anger, telling her to grow up and stop messing around. She was mostly quiet while I vented, but little did I know, she wasn't going to back down easily. Right after, I got a livid call from Mom, who was furious at me for calling out my sister. Apparently, Dove told her that I was accusing her of coming between me and my fiancé, and Mom was all, "How dare you treat your sister this way," knowing she's been dealing with depression ever since her divorce. Funny thing is, Dove was never really depressed about her divorce. I ended the call and told Dad that if they kept enabling Dove, I'd have no choice but to cut them out of my life. I couldn't keep playing along with her games. Update 3, I never imagined she'd stoop so low. Dove had always been a thorn in my side, but trying to come on to my fiancé before the wedding was a new low. The bullying, body shaming, and constant mocking were bad enough, but this was just too much. We were knee-deep in wedding prep when Mom, after our last blow-up, called to apologize, explaining she panicked when she thought Dove was having panic attacks. One of my cousins told me that Dove was going around telling everyone I was falsely accusing her of trying to steal my fiancé and that I didn't deserve anything good in my life, whether it was the job or Atlas. According to Dove, she should be the one getting everything because she's the gorgeous one. I relayed this to Mom, who just fell silent and advised me to let go of it all and enjoy my wedding and future life. The wedding day came, and Dove was surprisingly keeping a low profile, which at least meant she wasn't causing trouble. But as we were getting ready for the big day, Atlas's best friend called, asking me to come to Atlas's room with my parents. I joked that Atlas couldn't see me before the wedding, but he said it was serious. My heart raced as I rushed over. When we got there, Atlas was lying on the bed, shirtless and barely conscious. His groomsmen explained how Dove had tried one last scheme. Apparently, as Atlas was getting ready, Dove showed up with a drink. Atlas refused, but she kept insisting, and he took a sip. Right away, he realized something was off, the drink was spiked. He managed to get to the bathroom and call his friend for help. By the time his friend got there, Atlas had nearly passed out. Atlas and I were crashing in the same room, so he had the keycard. When I sneaked in, I quickly turned my camera on. Right away, I heard Atlas yelling at Dove to get off him. There she was, sitting on him, half undressed, doing stuff that made my skin crawl. It all got caught on camera. When Dove saw Atlas' buddy, she tried to act cool like they were just hooking up, quickly covered up, and left. But she didn't realize the whole thing was recorded. She even smirked at me, telling me to keep it hush-hush. When we got to Atlas, he was still kind of out of it. Whatever he drank was crazy strong, just a few sips, and bam, he was knocked out, dizzy, and with a massive headache. The drink was just sitting there with weird stuff settled at the bottom. My parents were mortified and couldn't believe Dove would pull something so shady. My mom called her to come to Atlas' room. She showed up with lipstick smeared everywhere, acting all innocent. She tried saying it was mutual and that Atlas had been into her from the start, convincing her for a one-off before the wedding. Mom wasn't having any of it and slapped her, letting her know her dirty trick got caught on camera. Dove was floored by this. My parents told her to leave before she caused a bigger scene. Security made sure she didn't come back. Apparently, she wanted to make it seem like she and Atlas were together so I'd call off the wedding. My dad got a doctor who confirmed Atlas had been drugged, which totally messed him up. His family was so mad they wanted to hunt Dove down. My parents had to calm them down and apologize. The wedding had to wait until Atlas was back on his feet after a lot of puking. Word got around fast, and the guests had some juicy gossip for a few days. When Atlas was better, my dad walked me down the aisle. Seeing him as my husband made me happy, but all the drama was still hanging over me. During his vows, Atlas promised to protect us from people who didn't want us together. After the honeymoon, my parents dropped by to apologize to Atlas again. Dad made sure Dove was out of our lives for good. He kicked her out and told her to fend for herself. I'm still shaken by it all. Our wedding almost didn't happen. If it wasn't for his friend recording that mess, I might have believed Atlas was part of it.